What happens in Vegas normally stays in Vegas, but what will happen in Vegas here today will have a significant impact on this championship. RCR round 21 brings us to the US again, and we're back for the Las Vegas Grand Prix at the Las Vegas Strip Circuit, the second longest circuit on the calendar, just ahead of Jeddah, behind Spa, 6.201 kilometers, 17 turns, 11 to the left and 6 to the right. 2 DRS zones on the circuit, the first between turns 4 and 5 and the second between turns 13 and 14. Just one of the few circuits not to have the DRS zone on the start finish straight. Hello everyone, welcome for another round of RCR. We are now on round 21 of 24. Let's go over the standings. Last week, binary, and I did update the standings, but we're just going to have to suck it up and accept the fact that the standings have all of a sudden changed. Last week, binary won the race ahead of I Mr. DJ CJ, who actually finished in third place after a time penalty. He took the lead of the championship and is now just 2 points ahead of I Mr. DJ CJ, holding on to the lead of the championship for 8 consecutive races in a row. As I said last week, finished third, qualified 7th, so came up through the field, but it wasn't enough and got that time penalty too. Did a very good job in the race, but unfortunately for him, nothing doing due to the fact that got that penalty. Hoffendorback finished second and actually qualified first. As I said, 17 turns, 11 left and 6 right. There's our calendar where, again, the graphic not changing after I've changed it, so we're going to have to change it again. Now, it's not that big of a deal, but it really winds me up when I do the due diligence and it doesn't pay off. Anyway, this week we're in Vegas, and next week we'll be traveling to Qatar. Not traveling, but you get what I mean. Anyway, out on track at the moment is Slazenger Volvo. We join him. Obviously, all drivers will be on the soft tyre. As I say that, one of them is cycling through the intermediate, but I doubt he's actually going to set a time on the intermediate. If he does, it will not be representative because, well, it's the intermediate tyre. It's a dry track. Very rare possibility and chances for it to rain in Vegas due to it being in the desert. And we're on board with Slazenger Volvo. And as I said before, let's see what he can do. He's qualified on pole a couple times this season. Twice, exactly. A couple of podiums too. And 1 win. He's coming now across that start-finish line I mentioned earlier. Again, no DRS on the short straight, as that turn just beforehand would kind of usurp it and make DRS kind of ineffective, reducing the grip. And Slaz absolutely hooking up through turns 1, 2, 3 now, and then the mini DRS zone between 4 and 5. Flying down to turn 5, that sharp right-handed 90 degrees, and you got to get it up as close to the wall as possible, then navigate over to the other side of the track, because you're going to be hooking it up, slamming it in on the full steering. But unfortunately for him, slams too hard on that wheel to the left and unfortunately has invalidated his lap time. Next on the track, who is doing a lap, is Lex. Lex last week, I can find his stats here. Lex has 5 wins in RCR. Last week finished 4th place after qualifying 5th, so he's got some improving to do lately. He did start the season very well, actually led the first 5 or 6 rounds even, but has either fallen off in terms of form, the big lock up there, either fallen off in terms of form, or all the other drivers have improved as the season has gone on and Lex has stayed in the same place. Either way, needs a good result here today. Won't be for the championship though. He is officially out of that. No, he's not. He's still got 85. He's 85 points off. So he still can win the championship, but he's praying for a miracle. See on this game, The cars can ride over the curbs a lot easier than they could on the last. Lex enjoying the benefits of that, cutting that corner slightly as he puts in a 1:31.101, and that is a very good time. Few drivers, Huff and Dolbach with a 31.166. FR Element crossed the line and did a 35.625. Psycho with a 32.670. We're on board now with the championship runner-up. At the moment, I'm Mr. DJ CJ. Just 2 points behind Binary. Needs a very good result here today. Puts it in second place on the front row. But importantly, not on provisional pole. We're joining Christakis now. Christakis. Sweeping left-hander, absolutely flat out, across the line. Unfortunately for him, it's only a 31.4. I say only. All these drivers so close together. But just a few tenths over a 1 minute 30 lap will cost you dearly. FR Element has joined the session, so he'll be able to take control of his car. New driver out on track at the moment. I'm the Pog. He joins us for the end of Season 5. And potentially will be signing up for Season 6. Oh, as Owen collides with the barrier there on the right-hand side. Bumps both wheels with it. Wouldn't have lost too much time, though. Actually, probably straightened the car out more than anything. It's flat out to the line. It's a 32.0, so probably did lose a tenth or two. It's Ace beginning his lap. I'm the Pog. Also on a lap at the moment. We'll stick with Pog as he does his first ever lap for RCR. On board with a new driver. I've heard good things about his pace. Could be expecting him closer to the front. Maybe right off the bat on the pace with the rest of them. At the moment, Lex on provisional pole. This does exactly what I said he needed to do. And that is have a good performance. So far, so good. But this track will ramp up. Big lockups from Pog at the moment. But he is fastest in the second sector and going very well indeed. Coming up to the start-finish line, it's looking good. It's looking like a 31. It's a 30.970. Pog immediately with provisional pole on his first ever lap. Incredible stuff. Well, nothing says that you've arrived more than that. Straight on the pace and straight to the top of the timing sheets. Active JMC about to come up to the line as well. He has shown pace as JMC. It's a 31.4, and that pace puts him in fifth. That's the third row. But look at how close all these drivers are. Actually, there's a few tenths between fourth and fifth. Let's join Binary, the championship leader. 8 minutes left in this session. Or will be around 8 minutes when he comes up to the line. On an out lap at the moment, and he's got another car for company just ahead of him, and he's not going to want that, but he's going to have to deal with it. Absolutely flat out now, all the way to the start finish line to begin his lap, and he's going to pray that this car just ahead, it's either Owen, FR Element or Active. I think it's Owen. He has to pray that they stay out of his way. How much pace, as they do stay out of his way, how much pace does Binary have then? Currently in the lead of the championship by 2 points. And this is his time to solidify that lead. This is the first step that he will take in doing so. CJ had the top spot locked out for 8 races in a row, the most of anybody this season. And now Binary has clawed his way back, won twice in a row. Done absolutely everything he can. Didn't even qualify on pole last week. Qualified 4th. Had more of a race setup. As Huff and Dolbach puts it on provisional pole at 30.941. Lighting up those sector times. It's a great lap so far from Binary. Still valid as well, which is a lot better than a lot of other people's first runs. Here he comes then. Does he have the pace to challenge for the win here today? No doubt he does. It's a 30. It's a 31-0. Only puts him on the second run. I say only because we're so used to seeing him near the top. Joe Pella with a 31.3. He's just started another lap, I believe, or just finished one. And this is Slazenger of Volvo with the 31.2 down in 6th place. BX10 as well. We're going to join BX10, who's just started his lap now. BX10 started 6th last week, finished 6th. He's had 5 pole positions, 3 wins this season, and 8 podiums. He's still within a shout of the championship, but it'll take a mighty effort and a lot of bad luck for CJ and for Binary. BX10 78 points off the lead. And the Constructors' Championship is over as well between RB and Red Bull. I had to remember that because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. BX10. The lap over so quickly. It's these straights, isn't it? It makes time seem like it's going faster than it is. It's quite a long lap. Again, it's the second longest on the calendar. Encapsulates Las Vegas in its backdrop. An incredible track. It's a 31.064 for BXTN. Let's see who else is on a lap. And Mr. DJ CJ slightly improving on his time on the medium tyre. Very interesting choice. He was 100th down in the first sector now. A 10th up on his time as a whole in the second. So he will complete the lap, I believe. Yeah, committing to the racing line. And crosses the line and he puts it. Improves on his time but does not improve on his position. And all the drivers now coming into the pit lane. BX10 on an in-lap. So CJ. Pog's up on his time by 3/10. Pog is up on his time by 3/10 at the moment. Coming up to the start-finish line. What is this going to be? It's looking like a 30.925. And that puts him just ahead of Huff and Dolbach, who locked out provisional pole for only just a moment. The XTM boxes. FR Element is out on a lap at the moment, improving by 600th of a second in the first sector. But isn't... Oh, yes, actually, I was about to say, but isn't improving enough. He's picked up another 3/10, but he's on a 35.2 at the moment. So he's going to need a significant final sector. He's heavily down on everyone else's times. There's a big gap between Ace and Psycho as well. Psycho's in the 32s. We've got a couple in the 32s. Most drivers in the 31s, though. And there's some big gulfs between the bottom 6. So here we go then. FR Element puts it across the line, sets a time. It's a 33.8. Doesn't improve on his position. Gets a bit closer to Ace. A bit more representative. David Kovalaki on a time as well. So is Owen. David. Slower in the first sector, apparently. But said he was up on his time. David trying to hook it up. Put in a good lap. It looks like he's harvesting, though, and coming into the pit lane. So, not a lap time for David. Got a few on their out lap now, and this is the moment that we all have been waiting for. This is all the drivers' final chance, the final stab at it that they're going to get. We stick on board with Owen, who's coming up to the line. This is going to be his final chance to set a proper time. It's a 1 minute 31.1, and that puts him in 7th. But still behind. Still down in 7th. Still behind BXTN, Binary, CJ, Lex, Huff and Dobak, and Pog. We are on board with Joe Pella at the moment. Just looking through the order to see anybody else. Huff and Dobak just begins his lap now. Slazenger and Volvo on a lap as well. This is the last lap they're going to do. So a few waiting till the very last moments to go on their laps. I may have bottled it a little, says Pog. He's still on provisional pole for now. As Joe Pella comes up to the line and puts it with a 131.1. And that, as we go on board with Slaz, who's coming up to the line as well. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. I don't think that will affect his time, though. He is down on his time, though, by nearly 0.2 of a second. And locks up and goes straight on. Massive lockup from Slazenger of Volvo. Yellow flags out in Sector 3. Owen obviously coming into the pits. We're going to try and find who is next to set a lap. That would be Huff and Dobak, who's going to come up to the line. So just bear with me 2 seconds while I look through the order. And Dobak, then Lex. We're going to go and pay attention to... Joe Pella's already set his time. Chris, okay, right. So that's qualifying over. Pog still on provisional pole. Huff and Dobak may have an answer for that, though. Pog says that he lost 0.4 on the last chicane, and maybe that means, oh, Huff and Dobak comes into the pits. And that is all she wrote for Huff and Dobak. Second place, provisionally, on the grid. Here comes Lex. And that long run down to the start finish line. What is his time going to be? It's a 1 minute 30.461. 0.5 up on his time, and that seals provisional pole for him, or does it? Joe Pella comes into the pits. He can't do anything further. BXTN, where's he going to end up? Currently a 10th up on his time, and that's through the first and second sector. He's still got time to improve on. Puts it across the line, puts it in second on the grid. Binary across the line. He's only improved by a slight margin. Chris Takis puts it in 5th. And Mr. DJ CJ improves on his time but invalidates his lap. Who else is yet to go? Psycho Leds 3/10 up on his time. Importantly, in this championship, Psycho Leds improves by 4/10 of a second, will start the race in 12th place. We'll go over the qualifying order in just a moment. What an incredible qualifying session, though. And it's Lex who takes pole yet again. He's had 2 poles this season. He's had 5 wins this season. An important thing to note, though, well, we'll get back to that in a minute because I'm going to go through the starting grid. So then, Lex lines up on pole position along with BXTN. Pog, in his first ever qualifying for RCR, lines up on the second row with Huff and Dorback. Great session from both of them. Chris Takis and I'm Mr. DJ CJ on the third. Importantly, CJ ahead of Binary. Binary on the fourth, along with Owen Joe Peller, Active JMC on the fifth. David Kovalaki, Cycle Leds, Ace, FRM, Cottony Goblin, and Slazenger of Volvo, who got disqualified from the session after running straight on near the last corner. Well, that was quite frantic, wasn't it? So then, if you are new to the streams, as BX10 tells me the time that we're going to start, if you are new to the streams, we do have a little bit of a lull between the qualifying session and the race. It's only 4 minutes as the race is about to start at 22:04 or 10:04 UK time. So in 4 minutes time, we'll get the race underway, and that's a formation lap. It's going to be a 50% race. And hopefully an exciting one at that. As I was going to say before, the pole sitter has not gone on to win the race for the last 3 races in a row. So Lex does have his work put out for him. And obviously with the championship battle between I'm Mr. DJ CJ and Binary, you got to imagine that they'll be wanting to come through the field at a rate of knots and maximise their point scoring. As you can see, as I mentioned before, Red Bull won the Drivers' Championship over RB, as we are actually starting slightly earlier than I thought we would. I think one of the drivers may have not been told. Got a few, I think we've got a couple of names that haven't raced in a while, and we've also got a new driver, so I can only imagine one of them started the race early. Hopefully everyone is here. Doesn't look like everyone is here. Cottony Goblin does get off the line. Okay, so fortunately for everyone, they are able to start this race. This is the formation lap. It's very lucky that we run a formation lap, isn't it? Because otherwise there would have been a couple of drivers there that would have been taken off guard by the early start. Lex takes them around, and you can see him there weaving left to right. We'll look at the tyres, see what everyone is starting on, the strategies that everyone will be doing. You can see it's more than likely a one-stop race strategy. We can go onto the medium and then about halfway through take it onto the hard tyre. Or alternatively, you can do the opposite. Madmen would do a two-stop, but it's not really viable, and many of the times the two-stop isn't viable on this particular game. Hard tyres most of the time can last the entire race on many tracks, so makes strategy very predictable. So one or the other. The one thing that has made races unpredictable recently, though, is that we have had a flurry of racing of safety cars in the past few races. So hopefully we don't get any, because we want the results to be organic, but it will certainly throw a spanner in the works for any of these drivers. As you can see, there are a few straggling behind, and that will mean that when Lex gets to his grid slot, maybe waiting there for a few moments, and his tyres will be cooling down. You can see him weaving left to right to heat them up, and that work may all be for naught. As you can see, BXTN very wise to that, backing off a little bit, letting Lex line up into his grid slot, as Lex has spotted BXTN there and he's waited for him. Lining up in his grid slot now, though. BX10, a very aggressive positioning. You can see there his car pointed directly towards the path of Lex. And if he gets a good start, he can definitely lodge his car between him and the apex. So then, we're about to begin. The lights coming on. The 5 lights are out. Away we go. And Lex gets a good exit off his grid slot. And so does BX10. Actually, BX10 has to slot behind immediately. It's only a short run down to turn 1. And you've got them all navigating the first turn. A few going very wide. You can see the dirty track offline, kicking up a lot of dust. A lot of people. Slazenger and Volvo making up a place. Joe Pella also making up a place as well. We're going to go on board Chris Takis as somebody there. That's Binary. And yes, Binary losing control of the car or jostling for position with Mr. DJ CJ. The two of them moving down the field. There's someone there cutting the corner as well. We've got a yellow flag, sorry, already early on. But I think they've all managed to navigate it successfully. If not, a bit scrappy. So here we go then. Gaps between all the drivers. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. Actually, no, that is David Kavalaki and Joe Pella making his way up. And I see a big chunk of carbon fibre there coming off one of the cars. That's FR Element. Losing his front wing entirely. And so Ace is also down as Slazenger of Volvo making his way up, charging through the field, and he'll do this very easily. Look at the long straights that we have here in Las Vegas to aid with overtaking, and a lot of drivers will struggle to manage their battery. The battery recharged by the brakes and by the turning, by kinetic energy. Going to move up the field now and go to Chris Takis, who has gained on Lex. BX10 has made his way past Lex, has taken the lead of this race early on. And as I said before, the pole sitter has failed to convert 3 times in a row as Lex looking on the inside of BX10, but doesn't actually make the move. He's had to sit behind him and wait another moment. DRS now active. So we've got 2 drivers in the pits, Ace and FR Element, changing their front wings. I'm going to stick on board with this battle that is essentially for first place between Lex, Chris Takis and the leader BXTN. CJ and Binary still together at the moment. CJ outscoring Binary by 2 points. We are very, very early doors, though. That is not how they are going to end. I'm very sure of that. But as they are at the moment, they'll be tied for points at the end of this race. As I'm Mr. DJ CJ actually making his way past Active GMC. As I say that, putting a car between him and his championship rival and co-Constructors Championship teammate. The two of them have won the Constructors Championship together in the battle for the Drivers' Championship. Binary makes his way past Active as well. Pog with the fastest lap of the race at 33.695. Keep an eye on Pog as he makes his way through the field. He said in the Twitch chat that he lost about 4 tenths. Maybe could have had pole position. But down in 4th at the moment as Lex moves past. BX10 takes the lead of this race. And that's into turn 5 they go. And we're going to see a lot of this, I'm afraid. It's going to be brilliant, though. We're going to see a lot of it as DRS, as we've got a yellow flag in sector. Oh, that's David Kovalaki out of the race. What's happened there? Not actually going to see it, are we? Because they are so far behind. And that's brought out a safety car early doors. So a safety car is out. Lex, BXTN, Chris Takis, Pog. All these drivers now about to be bunched up. And some may have lost out. It's still lap 3 though. I doubt drivers will box for a different tyre, but I've been wrong in the past, and this game is very kind on its tyres with these cars. Although some drivers may be forced to stay out and stick with the already allotted strategy and maybe wait for another safety car, because we're so early on in the race. You can't possibly assume that they're gonna just change strategy right now, but it's still a possibility, as BXCN is going for the gamble. Or not. I think he tried to goad another driver into doing it and wasn't successful. So still too early. The drivers have decided too early to come into the pits, change tyres, change strategy. Somebody's decided to do it though. That's Binary into the pits. So trying something different. Was down in 7th place now. After this, around 10th, also with a new front wing as well. So that big slide across the track that we caught the end of potentially cost him a part of his front wing, and he's had to get that replaced. Now in 11th place, outside the points, but will make his way back through the field, no doubt. But he has now done his one mandatory pit stop. The Las Vegas sphere there. And the actual race is quite daunting for the drivers driving past that. Lights up, and they've actually mentioned that they may need to dim it for the actual race, so don't run such bright colours, because it's quite distracting apparently. Wonder how it is in the game though. I've not actually quite distracting, but you're more focused on the track. So Lex then did lose the lead of the race at the start in the first lap. Retakes it from BXTN, then fortunes out with a safety car. However, there's still a long way to go, as I keep saying. And due to that, Lex is going to have to be on his toes here, especially with the safety car restart. Safety car normally stays out about for 3 laps. So this will be the first, or the second actually. First, it'll be the first lap that it's actually out. The Las Vegas Strip Circuit, the 12th different venue in the United States that have hosted a round of the Formula One World Championship. And the Ferris wheel just off the circuit, the High Rollers Ferris wheel, is the tallest trackside Ferris wheel on the F1 calendar. It just stands 2 meters taller than the Singapore Flyer near the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Of course, there'll be a lot more to talk about if Formula One had raced here more than once, but it's only raced at this particular circuit just once in 2023. That was won by Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc second, and Sergio Perez in third. Las Vegas Grand Prix, the next one in the actual Formula One calendar coming up. Formula One has been to Vegas before though. 1981 and 1982. Raced at the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, just in the Caesars Palace car park really, of that hotel. It was deemed by many of the drivers at the time to be the worst Formula One circuit ever, so this is quite some improvement. Not a big fan of when they make these street circuits, especially, I mean, a lot of people have come to like Baku. Monaco is obviously a mainstay, as it's been on the calendar since the 1950s and has so much history. I will say that I actually do like this circuit, although it's a very unconventional shape. It does provide some great racing, or has provided some great racing. So then, what do you do if you are Lex at the moment? At the moment, you just follow the safety car around the lap until it comes in, and that is actually now. The safety car coming in, you can see there it pulling away from the field and off into the pit lane, and it's now up to Lex to dictate when this race gets restarted. Once each driver crosses the start-finish line is when they can actually overtake, so no driver can overtake before the start-finish line, and Lex knows that, and I believe Lex has gone. Yes, he has. And BXTN following him very closely, very close behind, already on the back, already almost lining up alongside. Tries to be later on the brakes, almost is later on the brakes, but Lex manages to hold on. That's BXTN though on the inside of turn 2, 3, 4 now. They go round the corner, that sweeping right-hander, and they all remain very close together. But fortunately for Lex, there's no DRS, but BXTN with so much more pace, so much more speed, out to turn 4, into turn 5 to go, and BXTN retakes the lead of this race. In touch just behind is Chris Tackers and also Huff and Dolbach as well. He's had pace and he's got plenty of it, and you can see there are a few drivers going offline and kicking up that dust, that black smoke that keeps on kicking up off the track. It looks like someone's had a massive lockup, but actually that's just the dirty track where the cars haven't been running. Costly Goblin picks up a 3-second time penalty. A couple drivers already picking up penalties for exceeding track limits, and it's quite easy to do, especially with these curbs that don't have any barriers next to them. You get so used to seeing the barrier on the outside of the track, you think that may be the limit, and then out of nowhere, one of the curbs just has a nice little runoff area you can go into. You get lulled into a false sense of security as Lex is about to try and retake the lead of this race. He's on the inside of BXTN, and yes, he does take the lead of this race. Gets very close, though, to the barrier. Has a rough exit. You can see, though, one of the cars clipping the outside wall. And the two of them side by side. Almost Lex catches Chris Takis there. And Lex battling with BXTN has got distracted, and he's also collided with Chris. And Chris loses the back end of the car. And down the order he goes. And he's also picked up a slight bit of wing damage, maybe. I think one of the drivers did. Bit of carbon fibre there, launching off one of the cars. I think, from what I could see, most of them look fortunate. Maybe that was just something else. But big collision there, big moment. And we're fortunate that we didn't get another safety car. And in all that, Mr. DJ CJ has somehow found his way into second place. I have no idea how that's happened. So now, CJ on the back of BXTN and Huff and Dolbach a second off. Huff is going to have to get within DRS. Otherwise, oh, he's also lost a bit of time there. Yes, he lost 2 tenths. And Pog is on the back of him now. And Pog lines up. Huff and Dolbach is going to be on the outside of turn 14 by the time they get there, and they're almost 4 abreast going into turn 14. And a couple of drivers backing out. Chris Takis moving back through the field. Pog also getting past Huff and Dolbach. Huff and Dolbach's been mugged on that straight, lost 2 places. And Binary still down in 7th. Actually, he's made up a few places there. And Chris and Huff, and it's Chris moving back down the field. These camera angles switching over as Lex comes into the pits. Maybe it was Lex who picked up that unfortunate bit of damage that we caught there. And yeah, the pit crew coming out with a new front wing for Lex. So unfortunately, the innocent bystander switches onto the hard tyre, and that is Lex with a new front wing. And we're on board with Mr. DJ CJ at the moment, following very closely behind BXTN. Passing the Goblin and the Cycle Leads, swapping positions there. 4 tenths between BXTN and CJ at the moment. CJ thinking about his Drivers' Championship battle with Binary at the moment. Binary cutting through the field, was down in 11th after he boxed during the safety car. And how important is that going to be for Binary's race? Almost run into a bit of bad luck there with Chris nearly going into the wall after that contact with Lex. And that would have brought out another safety car for sure, as Chris is about to overtake Binary maybe. He lost the place. He's now all over the back of him. Is he going to be able to make his way back into 6th place maybe? But they've all been so close together, haven't they? They've all been so close together throughout this entire race. We're only on lap 9 of 25. Not even half distance yet. We're almost there. but not there yet. And that's another thing, though, about these long tracks is the safety car can really take chunks out of the race distance, out of the actual racing distance. As Mr. DJ CJ actually makes his way up back past BXTN and takes the lead of this race. The DRS being utilised there. Was threatening it ever since he got onto the back of him and is now taking the lead away from BXTN, who fought so hard with Lex for it. And it's now out of nowhere CJ coming up through the field and taking first place from BXTN. BXTN remains with him though, and as we've seen with all these drivers, they're all so close together because it's so hard. As we see there, one of them actually kicking up a bit of carbon fibre again in the background. Yeah, as we've seen, it's so hard to break the DRS. Huff and Dolbach moving past Slazenger Volvo. And these two battling out, trading DRS for DRS as FR Element disconnects and reconnects back to the session. So he'll be able to retake control of his car. And Slaz makes his way past Huff and Dolbach, stays in third place. CJ back down into second. While all that was going on, that long DRS straight. Really making drivers think about where they overtake, where they pull the trigger, where they make the move. And look at this crusade from Binary. I know I've not paid much attention to it. He's gone from 11th up into 4th in just a few short laps time as CJ takes the lead again from BXTN in the same place he did last time. And this time he's going to have to try break out of that tow, break out of that DRS. BX10 following so closely, they keep trading places. This is what we like to see, all these drivers so close in terms of pace. So close on the track. We're on lap 10 of 25. As they fly through turn 12 now. Onto the straight. DRS only starts a short way down. Or halfway down even. BX10 definitely close enough. I'm going to have to keep an eye here on a few battles on the track. There goes BX10 back past down Mr. DJ CJ. Is anybody else going to make a move? Actually, no. Quite surprised by that. They did close in though. CJ again on the back of BX10. Into turn 1 this time he goes. And that was almost completely pedestrian. BX10, if he wanted to close the door, it was way too late. Didn't need to though. He's got that DRS. He's going to swap places with CJ again. Actually, BX10, I've got to say, playing it smart. Knows exactly why CJ made the move there. And the games between these two at the moment. And it's allowing all the other drivers to stay so close, so in touch. BXTN or CJ soon, whichever one is second at the time, they're going to have to start looking in the mirrors as well as looking ahead of them. Got a yellow in sector 1. Who is that? That's Active JMC again off the track. Manages to pick it back up though. Looks like he's got a full intact wing. We'll rejoin the action at the front. FR Element re-disconnects from the session. So he's having a hard time, isn't he? CJ, BXTN swapping places. And this has allowed 3 cars to all come together. CJ's now down into 4th place, losing so many places. And Binary takes the lead of the race. What an incredible overtake. And how on earth have they allowed that to happen? Into the box comes our Mr. DJ CJ. Lap 12, sorry, of 25. And Binary takes the lead of this race. Way wide of the line. Slazenger Volvo almost coming into contact with that outside barrier. And look at this. The entire race turned on its head as BXTN charges down. Binary, BXTN's having a hard time, isn't he? Out of nowhere, these drivers keep on coming from way far back. And I mean, like, in terms of position, he's been fighting Lex, he's been fighting Binary, he's been fighting CJ. All the while, Slazenger and Volvo still in touch. Huff and Dolbach still in touch as well. I'm the Pog at the moment, though, with a 3-second time penalty. He's going to have to hope that the other drivers pick those up as well. It is lap 12 of 25. Active JMC gets a 3-second time penalty. We're on lap 12 of 25. There's still time for them to pick up penalties, but I don't think everyone, like, it's not one of those tracks where everyone gets a penalty. It really isn't. So Hog's got his work cut out for him. Cossin and Goblin's got his work cut out for him as well. As Slazenger and Volvo having a little look on the inside. Does not make that overtake. Got to be so close, so late on the brakes as well. Chris and CJ at the moment battling it out. CJ trying to make his way up through the field. And he's really going to make this strategy work. Pog comes into the box, gets a wing change as well, so explains a little bit of his pace. We've seen a few wing changes this race, so drivers struggling to keep it either out of each other, that sounds a bit, or out of the barriers. Gotta choose my words carefully. So then, CJ, Chris, no defense for this one. CJ on those fresh hards, they will be coming into their own now as they've been heated up. Oh, and already on 2 stops. As we're just looking through the field. So unfortunately for CJ, he has come out near Chris Takis, who is also boxing. Lex is retired from the session. And it's a virtual safety car. And that is the worst possible safety car for anybody who's coming into the box. Ace is coming into the box. And Binary, BXTN, Slazenger, Volvo, Huff and Dolbach may be gambling here. It depends on how long that safety car is out for. Is that a full course safety car? It says virtual, but I think it's full. It is full. So CJ losing out. Boxed for... As Active JMC also retires from the session. CJ boxing for fresh tyres. Not sure if he's going to be able to make his way up through the field. Back to where he was. He boxed early on. Let's have a look. Who's coming out of the pits? Cotton and Goblin stays out. Remains in the lead. Binary now switches on to the medium tyre to go to the end. And CJ in second. Look at that. And with a tyre disadvantage for the time being. 10 laps to go. It'll be 8 laps to go. Binary second. Net first. And this race has been turned absolutely on its head for the second time. These two, the two in the championship fight, the two remaining really. 2 points between the two of them. How many times can I say 2? CJ boxing at the, not exactly the wrong time, but the safety car coming out and allowing Binary to box again. And after that magnificent drive through the field from Binary when he boxed for the first safety car, he's now put himself in an excellent position. He had to box for the hard tyre. He can now box back onto the medium, which he has done. And now he's got a pace advantage to the end. And there's only, there's only going to be 8, 9 laps remaining after this safety car comes in. And the medium can definitely go 9 laps without losing too much pace. So, CJ has his work cut out for him then. His teammate, his close rival, with the upper hand, with the advantage. And Cottony Goblin has stayed out as well. I don't know how long he'll be ahead of these two. He's on 9-lap old hard tyres. It could play a factor in terms of DRS if they don't dispatch him after the first safety car, after the lap, the first lap after the safety car comes in. But this has been absolutely insane. Round 21, as Cotton the Goblin does come into the pits, and the leaders now, the net leaders, take their slots. Chris Takis as well, with a great drive, has found himself in third place. That's a podium place for him if he can hold on to it. He's had a best finish of sixth in RCR, in RCR. And that was last week. Started 9th, finished 8th. The best qualifying of 3rd. He's now looking at a best finish of 3rd, maybe even 1st. Because he's definitely got the pace to do so. These two have been back and forth in this championship for so long. It's nearly a 6-month-long season of race after race after race. As into the back of the safety car goes Binary. What's going on there? Did he get away with that? I don't know if Binary has actually got away with that. Did he? That was a big moment to lose concentration. And maybe the pressure is building up for Binary. He's got the advantage. That should give him some confidence. We're on lap 15 of 25. Soon to be lap 16. I think the safety car will come into this lap. And if it does, that's 10 laps. 10 laps of racing. So long as it's not interrupted again. It turned on its head all over again. These two, though, as I was saying before, back and forth the entire season. It was Lex who looked so dominant at the start, as I mentioned earlier on in the stream. Had a run of 6 races in a row. 5 races in a row, sorry. Of just wins, straight wins. And leading the championship. But after that, it kind of all got away from him. Safety car stays out for yet another lap. As soon as we're going round and round under the safety car, I'll give anybody that's new a little bit of history. I'm DJ, CJ and Binary are in the championship fight. They are just 2 points apart from each other. You've got BXTN in 3rd, 78 points behind, but we only have 4 races remaining. So BXTN, unfortunately for him, may be out of this battle entirely unless something astronomical happens between these 4 races in a row and allows BXTN to clinch the championship. BXTN has won a championship before. The 2 that are battling it out for this one have not. 5 seasons. Well, 4 full seasons we've run before. This is the 5th. And it has been quite a journey to get to this point, and it's still delivering race after race. These two. And the race firm but fair as well. You'll see them getting wheel to wheel and allowing space, but at the same time knowing when they're pushing the luck maybe into a corner where space isn't warranted, and they will close the door on each other as well. So then, safety car coming in this lap, and it's Binary's turn to dictate the pace of this race, pace of the field. He's got it all to do. As I said before, no overtaking for any driver unless they've passed the start-finish line now. Tyre advantage to Binary. 10 laps remaining. 9 laps remaining now, and Binary has gone, and he's already pulled the 5/10 lead over Mr. DJ CJ, who is clawing it back to 3/10. He's not going to give up that easily. Into turn 1 they go, and look how close they are. Deep into the corner though goes Mr. DJ CJ, and Chris Takis is struggling to get rid of Slazenger Volvo behind. They go through turn 4 down to turn 5. No DRS to be activated on this lap, only on the next lap. And importantly, for every single driver who's within touching distance of an overtake, they have to stay with the driver ahead for a full lap. As down the field goes I'm the Pog. What has happened? He's lost the front wing, and it's a virtual safety car that's nullified this race immediately. So we're too busy watching the front to to not recognise what was going on in the midfield. Pog with no front wing. It's the first race for him, and unfortunately he's not having a very good one, is he? The virtual safety car coming out and nullifying the race for just a moment, and these two now will push the luck. The virtual safety car will get drivers to drive to a certain delta time. And they'll all be doing that, but they can gain a few tenths or two in that time. They can gain a tenth, they can lose a tenth. And let's see, they do not know when the virtual safety car will end. I'm Mr. DJ CJ, for example, now 1.1 seconds behind Binary, and is actually outside of DRS. Binary has played that absolutely perfectly. CJ now outside of DRS. He was 6 tenths behind when the virtual safety car started. He is now a full second behind. The virtual safety car has ended, and he's got Chris Takis breathing down his neck as well, and he's lost 2 tenths in the first corner. It's all to play for here, and CJ has got a monumental challenge ahead of him. Look at that though, must be using a loss of the battery there to almost clutch back within a second. But the laps are ticking down, and as the laps tick down, this is helping. This is helping Binary, who at the moment has a 1.2 second lead over Mr. DJ CJ. And we'll be doing absolutely everything to keep it that way. What would you do in CJ's shoes at the moment? How would your head be? Would you be losing it? Would you be driving angry? It's exactly what he doesn't need to do at the moment. 1.3 seconds between him and Binary. And we're going to have to go down the field as Slazenger Volvo makes his way past Chris Takis deep into the corner though. Turn 14. They go through and side by side into the wall almost for Chris Takis. Almost again. Came into contact with Lex. Came into contact. And CJ has lost has lost a massive 8 tenths while we were saying that. And Binary with the fastest lap of the race so far. But Chris, again, almost losing the car, almost going into the wall. Not sure if it's any fault of his own, because we are just seeing pictures from an off-board shot. Offendoback BXTN closing in on 3rd place. CJ pulling back 3 tenths to Binary. Just goes to show that the dirty air is a thing. You can struggle in it. CJ pulling back those 3 tenths almost. But sat at 1.1 seconds for the longest time. So showing some pace. But he's got Slazenger Volvo right behind him and BXTN. And they both can ruin his chances here. Slaz goes up into turn 14, overtakes Mr. DJ CJ, 1.5 seconds off Binary now, and they are closing in at a rate of knots. Binary 1.4 seconds. CJ and Slaz. And is CJ going to be towed by Slaz? Back up to Binary. The two of them closing in so fast. You're starting to wonder what's going on with Binary. Already losing 10th after 10th. CJ DRS. And BXTN as well. Closing in. It's everyone's race to play for. Slaz fastest in the first sector. I'm the Pog sets the fastest lap of the race though on those fresh medium tyres. Owen gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. And we are closing in ever so close on the end of this race. And Slaz has made his way, almost made his way, into DRS, into the DRS of Binary, who's holding on just about, as Slaz picks up the fastest second sector of anybody so far. And that's including the lap time that Pog just set on those fresh medium tyres. As in the background there, Huff and Dolbach making a move on BXTN, takes 4th place away from him. And moves up ahead of the Irishman. .2 seconds. So Binary doing incredibly well to manage that gap. Don't forget, CJ dropped back 2 seconds. Then they've closed in, and it's still just 1.1 seconds between the two of them. Between second and first, Binary managing to hold on to those couple of tenths that he needs to keep these two from closing in with DRS. Off-board camera shot there. Half expected to see CJ alongside. Binary leads this race. He's done an incredible job of getting to the front. Boxed under the safety car when no one else did. Or barely anybody else did. And is now running in first place. Boxed twice this race. CJ all over the back of Slazenger of Volvo as they navigate through turn 12, 13, almost a nothing of a corner. That sweeping left-hander on the straight. This is where the DRS detection zone is. And they pass it, and then CJ will get DRS roundabout now. Up into second he goes with DRS, trying to close in on Binary. Also, Huff and Dolbach makes his way past Slazenger of Volvo. As Slaz picks up that 3-second time penalty. CJ gets within a second. There are just 4 laps to go. And this is so important, isn't it, for CJ's championship? And this second that has eluded him after that virtual safety car restart, he's now within it, but he's got to stay within it. And they are onto the DRS straight, and he's not kept within DRS. He's 7 tenths back, 6 tenths back now, and the two of them are getting very close indeed. And this will be heart in mouth moments. Literally, both of them will be on the absolute edge. There's no doubt about it. This is the stuff that breaks character, that breaks spirit. I feel like it's about to come to a head. The CJ with a nasty exit there. But still within 4 tenths of Binary. He's closed up. Is Binary now starting to struggle on these medium tyres? Surely not. But are the hards starting to come into their own? Maybe more likely. 4 tenths between the two of them. And here they go. It's just 2 tenths. I cannot watch. 2 tenths between the two of them as they head on to the start-finish straight. Finest of margins, and it's going to come to a head. I'm sure it is. Following each other very closely. They followed each other like this through the entire championship. Binary in the lead of this championship by 2 points. He needs every point he can get. And here goes then. Maybe Huff and Dolbach having a look. No. As Owen retires from the session on track. And Binary goes off the track. Binary went off the track there. And he's going to struggle here because now they're on to... Oh, Binary manages to get away with it. Just about. Deep into the corner. It's all nerves, isn't it? It's all nerves between these two. You can imagine exactly the tension. Owen DNF from this race. We can't even pay attention to that. There'll be no safety car because of how late on it is in the race as well. And onto the DRS straight they go. CJ with DRS overtakes Binary for the lead of the race. For the lead of the championship on lap 23. Into turn 14 they go now. And onto that start-finish straight. And Binary, importantly, has Huff and Dolbach for company, who's going to be using all his battery to try and get ahead of Binary early on, maybe. And look at this. Both of them. CJ had to look in his mirrors and ahead of him. Binary now has the same problem. But it's going to be DRS games all the way to the end, isn't it? Here we go again. And those DRS games coming into play. Binary having a look on the inside. Very tight to the corner there. Gets a poor exit, and that allows Huff and Dolbach to close in. But the two of them back and forth. It's incredible to see. How on earth did we start with these two so far down the order? I think they started 6th and 7th. And they found the way to the front through sheer willpower. Huff and Dolbach closer to Binary than Binary is to CJ. But this straight is very long and I feel like we're about to see a mugging on it. Here they go then. Huff and Dolbach, DRS open, about to take the lead off CJ. BX10 as well, finding his way past Binary, finding his way past CJ. CJ down into 4th place. And more importantly, behind Binary as they come up to the start-finish line. Lap 24 ends and lap 25 begins. And this is it. And look at that. I think that is definitely games. Oh, into the wall goes BXC, and into the wall goes I Mr. DJ CJ, and that is all she wrote for CJ's chances of winning this race. They come together and they collect the championship contender, and Huff and Dolbach and Binary on their merry way, and I Mr. DJ CJ down in 6th place. An incredible loss. BXTN in 7th place. Absolute pandemonium. What on earth? I did not. It's just not expected. And now Huff and Dolbach has to defend against Binary, who can pick up a chunk of points over Mr. DJ CJ here. And we don't even have time to think about the implications on the championship. Huff and Dolbach defending valiantly. He's yet to have a win here in RCR. And this could be it. But he's got 3 tenths between him and Binary. 2 tenths now and a start-finish straight ahead as Huff and Dolbach is about to deal with an almost impossible task of keeping Binary behind. Binary tries to move alongside Huff and Dolbach. He's going to have to be very late on the brakes. He is very late on the brakes. Takes it into turn 13, 14, 15, up to the start-finish straight. Binary is going to be using absolutely all of his battery to try and get Huff and Dolbach on the line. They are side by side. Binary takes the lead on the very last moments of this race, crosses the line and wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Huff and Dolbach finishes in yet another 2nd place. Another close finish for Huff and Dolbach. Chris Takis gets his podium in RCR, his first podium in RCR. Joe Pellet in 4th. And Mr. DJ CJ somehow manages to claw it back to 5th from 6th after that. Couldn't even pay attention to that battle. BXTN in 7th after picking up massive wing damage, was battling for the lead in the last moments. Unfortunately for him, could not get the job done, had that contact that caused him to go into the wall with Mr. DJ CJ. And we saw the onboard, but it was too chaotic to even know who caused that. I'm the Pog. Finishes in 9th place as Slazenger Volvo retires from the session. I think he finished in 9th, and then the game has DNF'd him from the race, so we'll have to review that. But either way, in 11th place, Ace and FR Element, these two side by side. They've got penalties though, and they're coming up to the line. Actually, let's have a look at the penalties between the two of them, just so then we're not in any doubt. As they're banging wheels a little bit there. But these two coming up to the start-finish line, Ace and FR Element. 3 seconds, a big contact between the two. I'm trying to stay focused here on these two and give them the moment to finish the race. Oh, as I actually go off camera. They do it. So coming across the line, FR Element finishes in 11th, and 12th place goes to Ace. Unlucky Ash indeed. So close. 1/10 between the two of them on the line. And Huffendolbach has to live to fight another day and hope for that win. He's been threatening it for so long. Been so close. There is your winner then. And that is simply... I don't even know. I've not got the words for how crazy the end of that race was. There's just one moment we're seeing Binary and CJ fighting for the lead. Out of nowhere, Huffendolbach and BXTN join the fray. And there's a collision. BXTN gets collected and collects CJ with him into the wall. They go on turn 1, and the tensions that were running high, I feel like they may have snapped. And we're definitely going to find out at the next race. As unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to see the finishing order, which is very annoying. Is there any way for me to get that? I think I can get that through, yeah, just 2 seconds, and I'll get the finishing order. Yeah, popped up on screen very briefly. Bear with me 2 seconds. Yeah, so finishing order then is as follows. Binary wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix, followed by Huffendolbach, a very close second between those two. Huffendolbach in the lead of the race after the last corner, but not after the start-finish line, and Binary picks up those 25 points. Chris Takis in 3rd place, Joe Pellet in 4th, I'm Mr. DJ CJ, an unfortunate 5th for him. Slazenger Volvo in 6th place, BXTN in 7th, Psycho Leds, Cottony Goblin 8th, and then 9th. I'm the Pog finishes his first ever RCR race in 10th after an unfortunate outing for him. He definitely has pace, but unfortunately for him, didn't have the pace to well, he didn't have the luck to remain in the fray with the top runners. Ace and FR Element 11th and 12th. Well then, so no doubt there's going to be chaos. I'll try to keep you all updated, really. I mean, that's we're gonna have to wait till next week to find out exactly what happened. But either way, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this stream, please follow. It's every week at 9:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's UK time, and we do a short qualifying and then a full, and then a 50% race. I got squeezed into the wall and got damaged on. Yeah, oh well. Until next week. I did see that you got squeezed into the wall, so I mean, it's not. It is what it is, but it is unfortunate. And obviously, you can submit a clip and that can be reviewed. But either way, you definitely had pace. It's just, I wouldn't, maybe not luck, but just unfortunate circumstances. Either way, though, again, thank you very much for watching. Again, we race next week in Qatar, so Lusail International Circuit. Lots of runoff area, lots of DRS games, and lots of action. Thank you very much. One more time. Appreciate everybody who watched. Appreciate anybody that follows.